building. Hello again, it's me Chaz back with another video. This is my CAF World Cup qualifiers match day 6 for Group D, E and F review. There is a total of 9 nations that will qualify from the CAF to compete at the 2026 World Cup, and potentially a 10th nation can qualify for the World Cup through the Inter-Confederation playoffs. The top nation in each group will qualify for the World Cup, and the 4 best second place nations in the group will go through to the second round to see which nation will represent the CAF at the Inter-Confederation playoffs. Alright then, we're going to start off with the first group that I mentioned, and that is Group D. Each group has a total of 6 nations in Group D, Eswatini, Mauritius, Libya, Cape Verde, Angola, who competed at the World Cup one time back in 2006, and Cameroon, who have competed in multiple World Cups, and they are the first African nation to reach the quarterfinals of a World Cup, doing that back in 1990. They were knocked out in extra time against England. So those are the nations in Group D. As mentioned, only 2 of these nations have competed in a World Cup before. Cameroon did compete at the last World Cup in 2022. They were eliminated at the group stage, but did pick up a win against Brazil in their final match. Alright, yes, mention the matches. Has Eswatini against Mauritius, Angola played Cape Verde, and Cameroon took on Libya. The match between Eswatini and Mauritius ended in a 3-3 draw. Mauritius on 2 occasions came back. They were 2-0 down after 20 minutes, came back in the second half to level it 2-2. Eswatini would go on to lead again in the 75th minute, but 1 minute into extra time, into injury time, and the second half, Mauritius will get another equaliser, ending the game 3-3. In the previous match between the 2 nations, Mauritius beat Eswatini 2-1. I'm going to go into a little more detail in this game. The match between Eswatini and Mauritius took place in South Africa in the Mombele Stadium, which a few games at the 2010 World Cup was played in. For example, the game between North Korea and Ivory Coast, where Ivory Coast beat North Korea 3-0, was played in this stadium. 13 minutes in, Eswatini took the lead. Fanani Mikonfo scored, showed really good strength there to be able to fire off his shot, and it was a great shot there. That's 1-0. He would double the lead for Eswatini and himself, scoring 5 minutes later. He gets in front of the defender and scores. Really good work there. 2 goals for him, and Eswatini take a 2-0 lead into the second half. But only 3 minutes in, Mauritius get a goal back. Lindsay Rose in the 47th minute pulls a goal back for Mauritius. This is also the second time he's actually scored against Eswatini. He was one of the goal scorers in the 2-1 win. Yannick Aristide would get the equaliser for Mauritius, and that's now 2-2. But there was still more action. In the 75th minute, Eswatini will go back in the lead, courtesy of a goal from Mabuza. Well, the game wasn't over. 1 minute in injury time, Emmanuel Vincent would score the equaliser for Mauritius from a free kick just outside the penalty box. And that's points shared between the two teams. Both nations went into this game bottom of the table. A draw didn't really help either of them, especially Eswatini, because they are currently bottom with only 2 points. It's crazy that Eswatini was able to score 3 goals in this game. Prior to this match, they've only scored 1 in their past 5. Unfortunately for them though, they just couldn't hold the lead here. Eswatini's next game is against Cameroon, who are currently second. That's going to be a tough game for them. And speaking of tough games, Mauritius will go up against Cape Verde, who are currently top in this group. So we've got the bottom team going against the top 2 on match day 7. And let's speak of one of the top nations in this group. We've got Cape Verde and Angola. Angola was defeated by the group leaders Cape Verde 2-1. In the previous game between Angola and Cape Verde was at home. That game ended in a 0-0 draw. That was the opener. In this game now, Cape Verde got the better of Angola. The first goal scored came in 2 minutes in injury time. Goal was scored by Dylan Livermontel. Easy pass from Javain Cabral to him, so that's a good assist there. 1-0 for Cape Verde. In the 50th minute, in the second half, Gilson Dela would score an equaliser for Angola. Ball drops to him and he kicks it first time. Alright, that's 1-1. Livramento would restore Cape Verde's lead though. Now that's 2-1 as his second goal of this game, scored in the 63rd minute. That goal would give Cape Verde the win, another win for them. Wagner Pina, nice little pass there to Livramento. Yeah, another win for Cape Verde. This was a top game here. If Angola did win this game, they would have been level on points with Cape Verde and only 2 points behind Cameroon. Because of this defeat, they're now 6 points off of top and 5 points off second place. As mentioned, it's a big win for Cape Verde here. Now just a point ahead of Cameroon with only 4 games left to be played. Cape Verde are in a fantastic position to qualify for their first ever World Cup. As mentioned, for Angola, there's a lot of work to be done if they're going to return to the World Cup for only the second time in their history. And finally in this group, the match between Cameroon and Libya, which ended in a 3-1 win for Cameroon. The previous match between these two, where Libya was the home team, that game ended in a 1-1 draw. This time around, Cameroon's very strong, 3-1. In the 27th minute, Cameroon was awarded a penalty. Vincent Abubakar scored the penalty in the 27th minute. He also was the player to score the 1 goal against Brazil in their 1-0 win over Brazil at the last World Cup. So Cameroon took a 1-0 lead into the second half. In the second half, in the 53rd minute, Mbeumo would score the second goal for Cameroon. That's now 2-0. Good pass from Carlos Balaba, but still a lot of work from Mbeumo. Good goal though. He would assist for the third goal, which was scored by Vincent Abubakar in the 61st minute. That's now his 4th goal of the World Cup qualifiers. Prior to this game, the last time he scored for Cameroon at the World Cup qualifiers stage anyway, was 2 goals against Cape Verde last June. Libya would get a consolation goal 1 minute into injury time. Izo El Marume would get his team a consolation goal. Cameroon defeat Libya 3-1. Cameroon are currently second in the table, 1 point behind Cape Verde. Their next game is against Eswatini, so that's second against 6th. Libya's next game is against Angola, that's the middle teams, that's 3rd against 4th. Neither team could afford a draw there. A must win for both nations to keep their World Cup qualifying hopes. Just take a look at the table. Cape Verde currently top, a point ahead of second place Cameroon. Libya are 3rd, 1 point ahead of Angola, who are 4th. Mauritius 5th, and bottom of this table in 6th, Eswatini. So very close at the top in this group. Things may change, but I think we're heading into the next few games with Cape Verde and Cameroon fighting it out for those 2 spots. Alright, that was Group D. Now let's move on to Group E. Alright, Group E. There's only one nation in this group that has ever qualified for a World Cup. They have qualified for quite a few in the past, and they are the first African nation, first nation from the CAF ever to reach a World Cup semi-final. That's Morocco. They would also be co-hosting, I should say, the 2030 World Cup with Portugal and Spain. The other nations in this group is Tanzania, Zambia, Niger, Congo and Eritrea. 2 things I should mention in this group: 2 of the nations in this group aren't competing. First nation is Eritrea, who withdrew before any match took place, and Congo have been disqualified from competing. Both political reasons. I think I mentioned in the past video, my match day 5 video. Congo, it was government interference with their football federation. For Eritrea's reason for withdrawing or pulling out of the World Cup qualifiers is because nothing to do with political asylum from the government, I heard. But yeah, that's the reason why both of those nations aren't competing in this group anymore. And because of that, that's why matches have been cancelled. The match between Niger and Eritrea cancelled, and the game between Congo and Zambia, I believe Zambia has been awarded a 3-0 win. So now we're just going to talk about the game which took place in Morocco between Morocco and Tanzania, where Morocco did win that game 2-0. Both goals came in the second half around the 50th minute. The first goal was scored in the 51st minute by Naif A. Good. Goal came from the corner. Keeper made a good save first, but from the header, good save. But A. Good reacted faster than anybody else and scored. Morocco was awarded a penalty in the 58th minute. Brahim Diaz would score that penalty, and that's a 2-0 win for Morocco. They are the only nation in the CAF World Cup qualifiers to have a maximum record. They have won all of their matches. So let's have a check of that table. Again, no surprise, Morocco is top of this group with 15 points. Second place is Tanzania with 9. Zambia are third with 6. Level on points with Nigeria, who are also on 6. Congo, as mentioned, are suspended, and Eritrea withdrew. Morocco could qualify for the World Cup in September after possibly match day 8. Alright, that was Group E. Now I'm going to move on to the final group in this video, and that's Group F. Alright, so the nations in Group F are Ivory Coast, Gabon, Burundi, Kenya, Gambia, and the Seychelles. Only one of the nations in this group, and who are currently top of this group, has ever competed at the World Cup before. They have competed in a few World Cups. That is the Ivory Coast. After that good run, which started in 2006, where they competed in the 2006, 10 and 2014 World Cup, they haven't competed in the last two. So they're trying to get back, and they're in a good position to return to the World Cup. Since I talked about Ivory Coast, just start there. Ivory Coast took on Gambia. This match ended in a 1-0 win for Ivory Coast. One goal scorer was Sebastian Haller, who scored in the 15th minute. This is his second goal of this World Cup qualifying campaign. His first came in the 9-0 win over Seychelles in the opener. He's the first player to score for Ivory Coast in this World Cup qualifying campaign. Ivory Coast only dropped points to Kenya early on in that 0-0 draw, but all the other games they have won. The previous game where they played Gambia, that ended in a 2-0 win for the Ivory Coast. So the current African champions are doing well at the World Cup qualifiers and in a great position, as I keep mentioning, to qualify for another. But they are only the points ahead of Gabon, who are currently second. Gambia, on the other hand, after this defeat, they cannot qualify for the World Cup in this round. They still have a chance to get into the second place spot, but it's looking near impossible for them to get that position. Ivory Coast's next game will be up against Burundi, and Gambia will travel to Kenya in their next game. These matches will take place next month on match day 7. Okay, next game, Burundi against Seychelles. This ended in a 5-0 win for Burundi, and after this defeat, Seychelles can no longer qualify for the World Cup. The first 3 goals came in the first half. First goal scored by Christophe Nuarugia, scored in the 22nd minute for Burundi. 2 minutes later, Bayemi Mana will score for Burundi 2-0. Then in the 31st minute, he will score another to give Burundi a 3-0 lead going into the second half. And goals from Kanaki Mamna in the 50th minute. Jeremy Shisha scored the final goal for Burundi in the 56th minute to give them a 5-0 win over Seychelles. Good bounce back for them after their defeat from Gabon. So as I mentioned, Seychelles can no longer qualify. They are bottom in this group with 0 points. For Burundi, they are third with 10 points, 5 points behind Gabon, who are second, and 6 behind Ivory Coast, who are first. Burundi must win their next 4 games and hope Gabon and or Ivory Coast drops points for them to qualify for the World Cup, whether it be by direct in this round or potentially the Interconfederation playoffs. Burundi's got a good chance to help themselves take points off of Ivory Coast and gain points themselves. They go up against them in September on match day 7, and Seychelles can't qualify for the World Cup, go against second place Gabon. And speaking about Gabon, they took on Kenya away, and they came out and defeated Kenya 2-1. Both goals were scored by Ibrahim first in the 16th minute in the first half, and then a penalty in the 52nd minute, giving them a 2-0 lead. Kenya do get a consolation goal, just ended up being a consolation goal from Uanga. Again, nothing more than a consolation. Gabon 2-1. For Gabon, they're just a point behind Ivory Coast. They have a great opportunity here to qualify for their first ever World Cup. Still got to be tough for them. Only a few more games to play. Their next game though is against Seychelles, who have nothing to play for other than their pride. Kenya, on the other hand, go up against Gambia. They are currently 4th in the table, 10 points behind Ivory Coast and 9 behind Gabon. A win here for Kenya would have seen them only 3 points behind Gabon. Okay, let's take a little look at the table. Ivory Coast are currently top as mentioned with 16 points. Behind them is Gabon with 15. Currently the best second placed team with 15 points. 3 points clear off the other second best placed teams. But of course, they're trying to go for that direct spot. Burundi are currently 3rd with 10 points. Good amount of points, but unfortunately for them, Ivory Coast and Gabon are on great points. Kenya currently in 4th, Gambia in 5th with 4 points, and bottom of the table, Seychelles with 0 points and cannot qualify for the World Cup. Okay, that was my CAF World Cup qualifying video for Group D, E and F. Thanks for watching, listening, appreciate it as usual, and bye.